I love this comic book. The Walking Dead, Book 14. Rick and Tyrese happily accept Dexter's invitation. Rick asks him about their food supply, and Dexter informs him they have enough to feed the entire prison population for weeks, with the food stocks lasting much longer, with there being only 4 prisoners in the cafeteria. They bring the rest of the group inside the cafeteria, where they eat for the first time in a number of days. Axel says they don't look like a rescue team, and Rick informs him that they're not. Axel explains that the prisoners have been cut off from the outside world for months and have no idea what's been going on. So Rick fills them in before realizing that the new survivors are not guards, but inmates. Dexter killed his ex-wife and her boyfriend. Andrew was a drug dealer. Axel committed armed robbery, and Thomas says tax evasion. Andrew also thinks he caused the outbreak because he prayed to God to cure him of his addiction, and the outbreak started the next day, obviously preventing him from obtaining any more drugs. Dexter then explains how the prisoners got locked in the cafeteria. The guards started deserting the prison, and the zombies somehow got inside. The remaining guards let the prisoners out. While most died, the 4 of them helped a group of guards fight their way to the exit. But just before they reached it, the guards locked them inside the cafeteria. Dexter then shows them around the prison, and they revealed they had to use the freezer as a bathroom after the buckets were all filled with excrement. The group opens the door to the gym. They see it's full of zombies, but decide to deal with it later. Then they go to the laundry room and find some vehicles in the garage. With that, they conclude the tour of C Block. As the group starts moving into their cells, Rick and Tyrese start arguing. Rick wants to invite Hershel and his family to live at the prison with them, but Tyrese believes that Hershel is too dangerous. Rick points out that Hershel is a farmer and that they will need him if they want to grow crops inside the walls. He also thinks it's the right thing to do, as he doesn't believe the farm to be safe. With the extra manpower, Rick claims, they could clean up the prison in no time and have plenty of room for whoever else stumbles upon the prison. He decides to head to the farm tomorrow with Dale in the RV. The next day, Rick and Dale drive up to the farm. Rick decides to go talk to Hershel alone to appear less threatening. He approaches the house when he notices a fire burning and rushes toward it. The fire turns out to be a pile of dead zombies the family is burning. Rick learns that the zombie attacks have increased since they left. Rick invites them all to come back with him to the prison, and Hershel agrees. The group leaves for the prison, except for Otis, who stays behind to watch over the farm. Rick arrives back at the prison and is greeted by Tyrese, who informs him about the status of the prison cleanup, as well as how the inmates are getting along with the group. He says that Axel and Thomas helped, while Andrew and Dexter mostly kept to themselves. They are interrupted by Lori, who is unhappy with having to live with the prisoners. Rick reassures her that they have the prisoners outnumbered and outgunned, so there is no cause for alarm. Lori breaks down in tears, so Rick comforts her, citing hormones as the reason. Later, Lori asks Carol if she thinks she is getting fat. She doesn't believe her stomach should be showing so much so early during her pregnancy. Carol points out that Lori could be further along than she thought, but stops talking once she realizes the implication. Lori asks where Tyrese is, and Carol informs her that he's looking for Julie and Chris. Hershel thanks Rick for bringing him and his family to the prison, but Rick doesn't think it's necessary. The following night, after having sex, Julie and Chris commit to shooting each other in a suicide pact. After hearing a gunshot, Rick runs to find Tyrese hugging his dead daughter's body, and Chris exclaiming that they were supposed to kill each other at the same time. Julie then suddenly turns into a zombie and attempts to bite Tyrese. The prisoners are very welcoming. Rick and Tyrese did unlock them from their cafeteria prison, They get some welcome relief and new people to talk to, and can even go use a proper bathroom now. I like that they are willing to share the prison with the group and the food. They understand the concept of safety in numbers. Rick's group is not that big. There is still plenty of food to last quite some time. Rick wants to bring Hershel and his family to the prison as well. I think he has two main reasons. One is that he wants to show Hershel he's the bigger, better, nicer person. Two, he knows the canned food is not going to last forever, and they are nowhere near a big city or stores, and can't replenish this food once it's eaten. Hershel is a farmer. In addition to crops, he has livestock too. I believe cows were mentioned in a previous book. Cows can provide meat and milk, so the livestock is a double bonus. A triple bonus when you utilize their excrement to fertilize the crops. Everyone is good with the prisoners except Lori. I get that these people are criminals and have committed crimes, but even the man who murdered his wife and her boyfriend stated those were the only people he wanted or even ever thought about killing. His crime was a crime of passion. The other prisoners' crimes are not anything all too violent, and in the prison setting, they can't replicate those crimes. Hopefully, it's just Laurie's hormones triggering this reaction. But Laurie is a character I'm not so sure about. Several times now, she has acted selfishly, even greedily. There is something else going on with this character. The persona she puts on for everyone to see is not the real Laurie. I will continue to watch this character closely to see more glimpses of who she really is. I'm guessing maybe even Rick doesn't know her true character. The conversation she has with Carol about how she is already showing brings up additional concerns. Carol points out she may have miscalculated when she got pregnant. Now, Tail and Carol both understand that Shane is the father, not Rick. The issue just keeps getting worse for her. Rick's adventure back to Hershel's farm. He didn't have to help them. Hershel did try to kill him. Hershel even admits it to Rick when they are all at the prison. But their conversation shows me that Hershel is back to himself. He understands what he nearly did and what the consequences would have been. Glenn tells them they are getting more zombies stumbling onto the farm as the weather warms. This tells me the zombies are affected by temperature. They move more when it's warmer and less when it's colder. Kind of like reptiles. I highly doubt they hibernate, but maybe it's like a bear's state of torpor. They are conserving energy. The cold may also slow decomposition down and theoretically keep the zombie alive longer. In an earlier book, we did see a frozen zombie unfreeze a little and still function as a zombie. The ending of this book is just heartbreaking. Julie and Chris finally get together and have sex, which is what Chris wanted. I'm not convinced that is what Julie wanted. She seems more to just want to have someone her age to support her and be a companion. They are in a different part of the prison as Tyrese is searching for them. I knew Chris was up to no good, but I didn't think it was a Romeo and Juliet suicide pact. That surprised me. I thought his plan was that they would kill Tyrese, Julie's dad. Chris's plan does not go as planned. But do they ever? His plan was that they would shoot each other at the same time. But he fired first, and Julie was shot. She did not get to fire at him. She just about died instantly. He was okay with shooting her, but since she could not shoot him back, why didn't he then shoot himself? If the pact was that they both die. It doesn't really matter if it's both at his hand, as long as they're both dead. He clearly holds his life in a higher regard than hers. I guess at least now he doesn't have to worry about her being pregnant in the future. At least she died quickly, so she did not have to suffer. Rick tries to comfort him by telling him to be thankful she wasn't bitten so she won't turn into a zombie. But moments later, to the horror of Tyrese, Rick, and Chris, she does begin to reanimate as a zombie. It's clear now to me, at least, that you don't have to be bitten to become a zombie. You need only die, and then you can turn into a zombie. This tells me that the zombie apocalypse is a virus and is most likely airborne. It was very likely something created in a lab to use as a weapon of war. Thanks for tuning in to the I Love This Comic Book podcast. If you would like to make a donation in support of this podcast, you can through Cash App to Pasta26MC. That's pasta like the food, the number 2, the number 6, M as in monkey, C as in cat. If you would like to sponsor this podcast or advertise on it, please send an email to podcast@pastasworld.com. As always, you can go to pastasworld.com for more information.